Do you know what's hard? Is it was so close.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Well, so people are telling me. I felt like it was close. That's what's hard. Is it was so close and I just didn't get the nod.
Now, I understand, Conor, because you're actually in the fight. So you feel like it's probably close because you had a decision. That's natural, you know what I'm saying, somewhat. But the people that told him that it was close, that he's referring to, that conveyed to him that the fight was actually close, that's a bunch of bullshit, 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 bullshit. No, the fight was good. You know, the fight was intriguing. The fight was interesting. The fight was great, but close, not so much.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? It's your boy, Dr. Boxing Talk, back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. You know, we provide live boxing commentary for all the fights, right? And yesterday was no different, man. I had the pleasure of observing the fantastic historical, you know, a lot of history actually on the historical part, not just from a country, but also from a family standpoint. You know, I had a pleasure of observing the monumental, colossal fight that, to me, I wasn't anticipating it to be this good. When I say colossal, of course, I'm speaking regionally based, right? For England, this was a big boxing match, you know, probably the only, I'm trying to think, like the only English fight that would surpass this as far as intrigue and anticipation is probably Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, you know what I'm saying? But with Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. having the family feud, you know, between their two fathers, you know, with Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, seeing Chris Eubank Sr. win the first fight and then them having a draw the second fight. So you can kind of look at this as, not kind of it, you can look at this as, you know, a continuation of what their father, of where their fathers left off, you know. So Chris Eubank won, man, and it was a great fight. You know, Conor Benn had his moments, man. He had moments where Chris Eubank was visibly hurt, man. He was visibly wobbled, obviously hurt, and then Chris Eubank had his moments where he hurt Conor Benn, especially in the last round. It looked like he was going to get him out of there, you know what I'm saying? But for people to say, oh, the fight was close, no, the fight was good.
Yeah.
You know, the fight was intriguing.
Yeah.
The fight was interesting.
Yeah.
The fight was great. Yeah. But close, not so much. You know, that fight wasn't close at all. You know, I think that the fight was a great fight. You know, it had his ups and downs. It had his ebbs and flows. You know, the momentum was in Conor Benn's side sometimes, and the momentum was on Chris Eubank Jr.'s side more of the times, though, you know what I'm saying, the majority of the time, right? So I only gave Conor Benn 4 rounds. You know, I gave him the first round, the third round, the 8th round, and the 10th round. The other rounds I gave to, you know, Chris Eubank Jr. So that would be, you know, in a 12-round fight, that means I scored it 8 rounds to 4 in favor of Eubank Jr. And that scorecard reflected 116-112. Now, I did not look at the individual scorecards of the judges to see what rounds they gave, you know, say they gave to each, but I don't think it's a coincidence that myself included, you know, all 4 of us counted it as 116-112 in favor of Chris Eubank Jr., reflecting 8 rounds to 4, you know, and he won by unanimous decision, and that was my prediction, you know. But I don't think that means that's a close fight or warrants a rematch. Now, if they have a rematch clause because of the magnitude of the fight, that's cool. But I personally don't think that the rematch is necessary, not just necessarily because it was such a dominant win for Chris Eubank, but because there is a differential in the weight classes, you know, and I think we should prioritize the welfare and the safety of these fighters as well as our entertainment value. You know, we can't disregard that, and we don't have to, right? There's plenty of good fights for Conor Benn down at 147, and there's plenty of good fights for Chris Eubank Jr. at 160, or if he wants to go to 168, because we know the goal is old cinnamon, right? We know that Chris Eubank Jr. was rumored to fight Canelo for a while, so I think that this would probably be a good time, you know, to try to see if that could happen. I'm not saying that I want that fight to happen. I'm just saying that, you know, that's another fight that could be explored. So, you know, I don't think that we need to have this fight again. But if it's already in the contract, like they said, they have the rematch clause, and let it happen, you know. And I also you know, watching the post-fight presser, it was also stated that Chris Eubank Jr. may have had a broken jaw, but according to Ben Shalom, that's not true. You know, he was released out the hospital. He went for straight precautionary measures, just like Conor Benn did, and he did not have a broken jaw, you know, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that in my opinion, as an observer, I don't think you can honestly say that that fight was close. But if you're in it like Conor Benn, I don't mind Conor Benn feeling like it was a close fight because he's actually in it, and he might feel like, oh man, I might have won that round, might have won this round, you know. So I get that part, but watching it objectively, I don't see how you could have had Conor Benn winning that fight. But I will say this though, like I said, it was a good fight, and there was a lot of rounds where Chris Eubank, you know, he just edged out that round, or it was a close round that, but it was a clear win for Chris Eubank. Like, to me, he did enough in the majority of rounds, even when they were close, to make it definitively in his favor. So yeah, I had it comfortably 8-4, and yeah, I don't think it was a close fight at all, but it was a good fight. It was a fun fight. It was an intriguing fight, and it was a historical fight, you know, and it had a lot of bad blood and tension in it, but I don't think it was close at all, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. I appreciate y'all rocking as always. Don't forget to smack that like button, but most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we are nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.